engineer, things are a little bit more straightforward. But what happens when you are not a tech person, you're a business person, and you want to build something technical? Can I build something from scratch without having technical knowledge? So our next session is non-techies building tech startups. And for that session, we will have with us Jenny Shao, founder and CEO of Robyn AI, Elomida Visviki, angel investor, Naomi Harris, actress and co-founder. Let's welcome them.
Hello, dear friends. Oops, here. Well, actually, before I begin, I would love to do something. I want to ask a few questions our audience. Let's get to meet them.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, we need some lights. I can't see much, but if you raise your hand, I will probably see it. Amazing, yes. I see my husband. So, raise your hand if you studied or trained on one thing and then you ended up doing something entirely different.
Wow.
You see? No one has it. All right. Who here has made a full-on career change? All right. Stay there. Stay your hands raised if you have done a career change, but your career was very successful. Very successful, and you changed entirely. How many are we? Whew. You see? 2. Okay, a big applause. Because this is what we are talking about today. We are talking about the courage to walk away from something that works to build something that matters, right? Yeah. So please give a big applause for Miss Jenny, Dr. Jenny Shao, Harvard-trained surgeon, now founder of Robyn AI, an Amos Stroke, Oscar-nominated Naomi Harris, now founder of Core. I should have never said yes to this, because however, I will read most of my questions because I'm, Jenny, no one here has met Robyn AI yet. Choose the most simple words, please, and say what it's all about.
For sure. So Robyn is your emotionally intelligent operating system. And we like to call it your partner for becoming. And it's a product that I really wish, I had at many moments in life, because we live in this really weird paradox today, right? Where we are the most technologically connected generation in history, but we're the loneliest, the most emotionally disconnected. And that's not just bad, that's unsustainable. Like, as humans, we have a fundamental need to connect, to know ourselves. And the infrastructure connection used to be present, right? You had town centers, think back to college. But right now, there really isn't anything. And Robyn is our answer to that crisis. It's infrastructure that allows you to know who you are. And we start with the self, because that's where connection actually starts. And we build a product that doesn't just talk at you, it actually understands you, evolves with you, grows with you, shows you insights, and makes you a better version, more evolved version of yourself.
It's like your imaginary friend, right? So once you found a friend, it's about time you find a match, a pair. And this is where Core comes in, but it's not like any other dating app, correct?
No. Well, I definitely hope it's not like any other dating app, because I don't think dating apps are doing a really great job. No, Core is, well, first of all, I have to say that we're at the very start of our journey at Core. We're raising, we're hiring, but ultimately, Core will be the first dating app ever to crack the code of compatibility. So, thank you, yes. So by combining ancient and modern science, we will deliver a compatibility algorithm that actually works. And we know from users that that is their #1 complaint when using dating apps, that they can't find a compatible partner. Online dating is now the main way that people find each other. It's a huge business. It's worth 7 to 8 billion globally, projected to be worth 17 billion by 2030. But what most people don't know is that 80% of users are frustrated, disillusioned, and are in despair about the whole process of using dating apps. And at Core, we want to solve that problem by using AI to act like a traditional matchmaker. So your AI matchmaker gets to know you on a deeply personal level, moving well beyond the superficial data points used by most dating apps currently. We don't care about whether you like Indian or Chinese food or whether you're into rom-coms or horrors. We want to move beyond the kind of public facade to really the inner core of you, what makes you motivated, what makes you tick, and that private persona, because that's where you ultimately have a relationship with another human being. And so once we are able to access that inner core of you, then we're able to offer you a highly curated, individualized selection of partners that you're truly compatible with.
Which tends to be the problem, because you see, except from all the intentions on how much to make, the problem is that often we say other things than what we actually want, and the algorithm totally loses it. Okay, so, but look, here's a situation. She's walking into the red carpet. You have an incredible acting career, from 20 Days Later to Panathēnea, James Bond, the Pirates of the Caribbean, which we watch all the time. And then, okay, Moonlight gives you an Oscar nominated, nomination. But you drop everything. There must be something that inspired you. If you can share that, whatever.
Well, I think, it all started weirdly enough with George Clooney, which is very, unexpected. But basically, I'm glad you love George Clooney too, me too. We're both ambassadors for Omega, and it was the anniversary for Omega in Mykonos. And George came up to me, I don't know him, but he just came up to me, made a beeline to me and just said, Naomi, I think you're a great actress, I love your career, but I have to tell you, in this day and age, and the longer you stay in this profession, it is not enough to just be an actress anymore. You have to start using your voice. He said, I don't know you, but I know that you have something important to say, and you're not saying it. And I don't know whether it's just because it was George Clooney, and when George Clooney speaks, you kind of listen, but it really resonated and stayed with me, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. And so I really thought about, what am I deeply passionate about? And I realized that it's always been love and connection. It's always been about understanding people. And so I came up with this whole idea about how I would travel the world and create a TV show where I look at love and matchmaking in different cultures and ultimately come up with one algorithm that solves love and compatibility. And it was all about, doing it in the context of a TV show. But in that process, I really learned how detrimental dating apps have been. There is this inverse correlation between the rise of dating apps and the decline in the quality and duration of our relationships. They really have had a very negative effect. And then I couldn't help but think that that was more important than the TV show. It was more important to solve that, because there ultimately is nothing more important than love, right? I think there are two states in life. There's fear and love. Fear, nothing good comes of that. It ends ultimately in wars. But love, I think, is always expansive. I feel love, so I treat my neighbors better, and I treat the planet better. And that ultimately is what I want, to shift as many people as possible into the state of love.
So, you see? Come on. You'll never be left alone, and you will find the love of your life. There, boom. Okay. I wish I was a fly on the wall. The moment, just take us there, back there, just right before you made the leap into building Robyn AI, because you're a surgeon, trained surgeon, you have this in your head, and suddenly, when When was the moment it started, the idea started whispering in your ear?
Yeah, so as you might have guessed from the name of this panel, I don't come from tech, which is shocking because I looked exactly like a tech bro. But I'm not. I used to be a surgeon, and as Ella said, I left Harvard about 14 months ago to build Robyn, which was a great comment with my parents. They forgive me now, but you know, it wasn't incubated in an accelerator, right? Like a lot of amazing companies, it wasn't born on the night hackathon. Robyn was born in the operating room. It was born on an overnight shift when I was taking care of a patient with a brain tumor. And he had very advanced GBM, and he was dying. And he was dying alone. No friends, no family, and we couldn't get a hold of anybody to come see this man. And I thought, how did we get here? How do we get here as a society where the most vulnerable are now dying alone in hospitals, and we just think that is normal? That is not normal, and that's like very unsustainable. And the thing is that at the end of medical school, right, you take an oath, and it's called the Hippocratic Oath. It's been very glamorized by TV and Grey's Anatomy, but at its core, it's a vow, it's a promise. And you say that I vow to do no harm, and that I vow to do everything that I can to help people who come to me. And it was really clear to me after even a short time, short time, 7 years in medicine, that our system is not equipped to actually deal with this, right? We're not equipped to actually solve the problem of disconnection. And that if I want to actually uphold the oath that I took, and I take very seriously, I had to build something from the ground up that was going to solve this at scale. And for me, that was Robyn, and that's how Robyn was born.
Amazing. Now that you've visited Greece, you need to say Hippocrates, okay?
Hippocrates.
You have the accent now. You know what you're talking about. Right, okay. Yeah. All right, but overall, career transitions tend to shake our sense of identity. I'm very surprised your parents forgave you for throwing out of the window so many years of hard work.
$5 million helped afterwards.
That's why you build Robyn, to make sure they have a friend. But tell me, how do you hold on to or redefine who you are in the process of becoming a founder?
Yeah.
Because it's a change, right?
It's interesting because, to your point, walking away from medicine was the hardest thing I ever did. And it's not hard because, I love operating, obviously I love taking care of people, but it was so much more than just what I did. It was who I am, right? For 14 years, I told myself I am a surgeon. And everything I did was in the service of being a surgeon. So how do you walk away from yourself? It's a very, very messy process. But I think simultaneously, walking away and starting Robyn was the best thing I ever done. And I think, in terms of it seems like such a leap, right? From surgeon to startup, and one that has confused many people that, I've talked to since, investors, lawyers. But I think it actually, for me, it made perfect sense because it honors the same mission, right? I went to medical school to be able to be someone who can make an impact and actually have a positive impact on people's lives. And I'm honoring that mission. The only difference are the tools. Before, I did it with a tin blade, right? And now I do it with technology.
Okay, so you didn't meet with George Clooney.
Unfortunately, but I would love an introduction.
Okay.
I would be happy to meet George Clooney anytime. We should definitely talk.
I'm sure there is more than George. Okay, so how do you hold on to who you are? Because every day you need to do new things.
Yeah, I think actually there's a lot of similarity between the startup world and the acting world, in the sense that both require a sense of being delusional. Because in the acting world, I have to say, this is the imaginary world that I am creating. Come along, millions of people, and watch with me and imagine that something catastrophic is happening. And in the same way, when you're building a startup, there's nothing, but you have to be like a magician and say, I'm going to create something magical and believe in me and come on this journey with me. So it takes the same level of faith and trust.
Well, that sounds like being an actor, right? Yeah. It does. Okay, there must have been secret weapons in these skills that you brought to core. What do you think?
I think the main things are, I think so much of the time people put a lot of emphasis on knowledge. I think knowledge now is just a click away, so I don't think that's the defining feature. I think what's really important now are personality traits, and they are built through hard knocks, basically. I always love this one story about acting. One of the first films that I ever did, I went to the red carpet, turned up for the premiere, gave interviews on the red carpet talking about how great it was to be part of the film, went in to watch it with my friends and family. My scene came on, and I had been replaced by another actor. I really think those kind of experiences, those kind of hard knocks, are the perfect training ground for startup world, because it's at that level of rejection and hearing constant no, but still having the resilience to bounce back and the determination to fight for what you believe in.
You just stole a question away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My question about resilience.
You can ask another
You don't hear what she says, okay? You're gonna ruin this.
I'm sorry.
So she added things, but now tell me, what did you have to shed or unlearn from your experience as a surgeon?
So it turns out surgery is great prep for being a founder. There's so many things that surgery teaches you, right? Like the work ethic alone. Every resident's working, 80 hours a week or even more. And I think the job of a surgeon, right, especially a resident, is just to make things happen. If you're in the trauma bay or someone is on the operating room, you can't be like, and they're bleeding out, you can't be like, oh, I'm tired, come back tomorrow. Like, you have to do it right now, right? It doesn't matter how uncertain, it doesn't matter if you're not sure, you have to take care of it, because you have to look at that person's family later and be like, I did everything I possibly could to make sure that your loved one is alive. And they're not always at the end of it, but it's your job to make sure that you do everything that you can. And I think I definitely take that relentlessness, into Robyn, and it has, really helped us build and help us grow. But I think too, in terms of things that we had to shed, like in surgery, in medicine in general, it's a very, well-structured process, right? You kind of know there's always someone above you can ask for advice. How do I do this? If you're a young resident, there are senior residents, there are fellows, there are attendings, and there are older attendings. So you're never really kind of like alone on your journey. And as the founder, you're very much blazing your own trail. And every startup is so different. And even though you can ask other founders what they did, and it's very helpful, in the end, you have to blaze your own trail, and you have to write that map as you go. So I think shifting from, reacting to leading has been a very necessary transformation for me.
And it's something you have to work with others.
Yeah.
Amazing, but so difficult. So you are women in technology, which is not exactly a playground. We're going to talk a little bit more difficult thing. First of all, you're not engineers, right? No.
Unfortunately, no.
Me too. It gets personal here. Well, on top of that, here's a question. I will start. You are in a world, in an app. You're building an app, which is quite deep, technical-wise. So how do you step into a room and talk to the team and encourage them and be a leader when you're not the engineer?
Yeah, I think you first of all enter with deep respect into any room with your engineers, because ultimately they are translating your kind of emotional, abstract thoughts and feelings into something functional and practical that's going to be in a user's hand. And that's a form of magic, really. But I also think you have to respect what you bring to the table as well as a non-tech person, because you have a deep relationship and understanding about the user's needs, and you also have a very clear vision. So I think it really comes down to communicating that vision with as much respect as possible.
Amazing. Well, I will ask fundraising. You just raised 5.5 million for a seed round.
Thank you.
And I kind of have an idea how many thousand appointments you had to do. So how did that go? How did you push on? But mostly, now that you have the money, how is hiring going for you? Were there any problems? What does it feel?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a process. And I think for me, it's just, like knowing the game that you're in. And so, we just closed our round. We spoke to over 100 VCs on that process. And, we're very lucky to have found the right investor who, got it. And we closed the round. But I think, honestly, I thought it was going to be, like so much more, right? And for me, what kept me going are the founders that I look up to deeply. Founders like, Melanie Perkins, who is such an inspiration, and Brian Chesky, and even Steve Jobs. None of them were deeply technical, right? But they had a very clear vision, a better reality. And then they assembled an amazing team, and they just went ham making it happen. And I think there's so much talk about, vision and being a visionary. But in the end, vision is important, it's great. But without execution, it's just a daydream. And for me, I knew from the moment that I stepped into the arena that it was going to be hard, but it was going to be so worth it. And I think being around, at least having these giants, guide me, that's been very, very helpful.
So hiring has been like a breeze.
Oh, absolutely. People just line up for Robyn. We turn them on all the time. No. So my team is the thing I'm most proud of. We built an amazing tech team, and we also built just an amazing team in general. We're a small team. We're 5 people right now, but we'll be a team of 9 in the next 2 months. And to give you an example, right, we were actually going to have a very exciting announcement later, but we moved something up by 6 months, which in startup time is 6 years. And I went to my dev team hey guys, that thing we're gonna do in 6 months, we're actually gonna do in 3 weeks. And they were like, why do you do this to us? But we rallied, and then we made it happen. And it's because they believe in what we're doing and the bigger thing that we're building. So I'm very proud of my team. I'm very picky with my team, but I think if you have the right people around you, it's the best thing you can do.
So you blend, you both work with AI, but you blend it with traditional matchmaking wisdom. Καφετζού η χαρτορίφτυρα, πώς τη λέγανε την Βασιλιάδου. This is a film with a comedian, Greek comedian, who is like the person who basically matches all the village, right? So everybody goes to her. But there is a gap, and you actually saw the gap. So describe me this world. Why the gap? What are you trying to achieve there?
Yeah, I've never quite understood why people have this lack of respect and desire to explore ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge. I see astrology and numerology as being the first algorithms, ultimately, from which other algorithms have been built. And they've been used for hundreds of years to help people make decisions, particularly in love. When you look at cultures around the world, there are still millions of people that are relying on ancient wisdom to make decisions. So for instance, if you look at Vedic astrology in Hindu cultures, a lot of Hindu marriages will not take place unless they consult a Vedic astrologer. And if we look at the stats on how successful their marriages are compared to our personal choice model, their rates are less than 5% of divorce, and our rates are 40 to 50% of divorce. So I think it would be silly to dismiss as nonsense these sciences. And what I love about Core is that we operate from a principle of radical openness. So basically, we don't know where our secret source will be found. And we're determined to ensure that no rock is left unturned in the quest to solve love.
Oh, wow. It does help if a culture nurtures family and marriage, which the Western world seems to kind of forgotten a little bit, but for sure. It's, I wouldn't trust it myself, too. I'd rather have someone help me on that. But now, here's the thing. the mission statement for Robyn AI is help people feel less lonely. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, that's a deep emotional mission. How do you build that thing? How do you take that and transform it, translate it to an engineer, a product design? And how do you actually convey that to your team and it becomes part of the team values and the company culture?
So Robyn is a deeply human company. You know, we're powered by AI, but we're really, you know, we believe that like the human and the technology, that's the person that we are most interested in, right? And more than anything, Robyn is a celebration of what it means to be human, right? Like raw human connection that is messy, that is imperfect, that is beautiful is what this company is all about. And that translates into every single thing we do at the company, every decision, you know, every pixel. So for example, in even our inaugural app, I wrote every single word of the copy on that app. You know, I picked the shade of blue. I wrote the LLM prompts. I wrote the system prompts. And our amazing tech team, you know, built the infrastructure to make that come to life. And it's this marriage of like something that is deeply human with technology that makes Robyn feel the way it does. Because, you know, while I'm, you know, a big fan of AI, like I'm much more interested in the actual human at the end of it, right? Because like we're people, we're not a chatbot, we're not some AI. We're raw, we're imperfect, and we deserve technology that honors that uniqueness. And that's what we build at Robyn. And everyone on the team understands that, right? Everyone on the team, you know, is in the team because they believe in a better reality, in a world where we're not just, you know, stuck on our phones all day, where we actually are more connected, not less.
All right, so now this is a question for both of you. Is there anything you chose not to do, although technology could do it?
Yeah, so I'm of the firm belief that just because we can build something doesn't mean we should. You know, as a doctor, my first priority is always going to be safety and making sure that the product, right, really makes people's lives better. So Robyn is not clinical, it never will be, and we are interested in being your partner in becoming, right? We're not interested in replacing your doctors. And I think like bring that perspective of safety and of making sure that our users are protected is something that I'm very passionate about.
And for me, I think AI can be used to get people quite addicted to products. It can create this kind of dopamine hit in us, which is very, very addictive. And I think a lot of dating apps use that. So they gamify the whole process. And I think ultimately that isn't sustainable and isn't healthy for us. It's like giving people a sugary diet instead of, you know, we all want nourishing, home-cooked meals. And so at Core, we don't believe in doing that. Instead, we embed things like hypnotherapy, sacred geometric patterning, which soothes the nervous system. Also golden mean music, which is heart resonance music, because ultimately what we're trying to do, instead of like other dating apps where you leave feeling depleted and disposable, we want people to be seen and we want people to be uplifted.
We don't have much time, but if I keep you a little bit longer here, you're gonna crack and say all the secret sauce. No, I just found out about a new element here. All right, I didn't know that. Okay, all right. But you had such a great career. You had success at the highest level, and you know success. So how now moving into the tech world shapes, redefines your idea about success, if it does, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a new chapter for me. I think my whole journey in acting was really about myself, and now it's about the collective. It's about leaving a legacy. It's about helping humanity and making the world a better place. I think so often we can spend a lot of time complaining about the world, but it takes real bravery to step it up to the plate and say, I'm going to make a difference. And that's what Core is all about.
And you're a Harvard, okay, good. And promise you do the same for me, please. I'm still dealing with success issues, okay? So, right, you're a Harvard-trained surgeon. I mean, honestly, you're Cambridge, social and political studies, Harvard. Jesus, come on, what's going on here? But I mean, it's a success to follow all these steps. You studied so much, you're competitive. So what does it look today for you?
Yeah, so, I get asked a lot, like, what does success look like for me? And I think the big numbers are great, right? Like 71,000 people on the wait list, $5 million, 6 continents, and I'm very proud of that. But for me, it's really about the number of lives that we touch and we actually make come alive with Robyn. And I'm happiest when I hear stories like Robyn made me a better husband and father. Robyn saved my marriage. Robyn helped me through a divorce.
So
and those are real user
you
stories that people I don't know have told me. And I think in this next chapter, I'm much more excited about how many more lives we can touch and how many more people we can make come truly alive.
So if there is anything you heard today that makes click inside you, these beautiful ladies are founders and they're hiring, so please reach out. Yeah, you're hiring Lars, Bum, and then he's got some good techies next and behind him. So please go ahead and give a big applause for Jenny Shao and Miss Naomi Harris.
And
thank you.
I actually have...
Oh, yes, of course. One second.
And I'm super excited before you guys go to make a very exciting announcement. And when Lars asked me to come to sing at Panathēnea, I thought this was such an amazing honor to be here with all of you. And we're all here today because we believe in that being human is the biggest celebration of connection. So I am so thrilled to announce the formal launch of Robyn live today. Woo-hoo! And it will be everybody at Panathēnea will have exclusive access starting right now to 1 month of Robyn Premium. There are QR codes on these snazzy LED projectors outside. I also happen to have 100 cards just for you guys, so they're all different. So come hunt me down, I'll give them to you. And start sharing with a friend, start connecting. It's already getting its mission. But thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so honored to be here at Panathēnea with all of you and to share the stage with these amazing, amazing women, Naomi and Ella, such an inspiration. But yeah, let's make some magic.